I imagine there's plenty of people going through this mental activity in their head right now and going, that experience, it didn't give me a lot of positive. Like, I don't know, instead it made me shrink, or it forced me to do things this way when I wish I could do them that way. A simple example. I know a lot of people who are terrified of public speaking, but don't want to be, right? So let's say they had an embarrassing public speaking thing and they were like, I'm not going to do that anymore. And then they don't, right? And they're reflecting on that going, look, guys, this is a bunch of BS, right? Like, I just wish that never happened. I'd be more successful and et cetera, et cetera. How do we deal with that?
Yeah, that's a great question, because a lot of these things that do happen in our lives impart certain beliefs in how we think about ourselves and other people and the world itself that is hard to get over. So I think the first step in that is to look at, based on that public speaking fiasco that might have happened, what did I take away from, what are the messages I took away from it? Now, if I have a public speaking fiasco and you have one also, we might take away different things from it. I might think, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed and I have a lot of shame about my stutter. Mm-hmm. You might think, oh my gosh, this didn't work and I risk losing connection, human connection with other people.
Right.
Because of what I said, and I'm not going to get the next opportunity. So I think that the first step in whatever that experience is that's negative is to really understand, what did I internalize from that? Now we're kind of getting into the psychology world at that.
But isn't that the best part of this? Like, isn't it really?
I mean, if you don't go there, it'll still be there.
Yeah,
you'll be operating on autopilot without that understanding. So I think understanding kind of the psychology behind those internalized messages is really the first step in that. And it may be different for different people. Different people have different experiences, like the bike riding example. Like, what we internalize can be different, even with the same experience. And so for us individually, it's under that understanding, and then deciding, like you said, though, it might not be a positive thing. It may be that some experiential intelligence doesn't always have to be positive. You can say, here's the experience I had that left me with something I need to work on, or I want to work on, so that then I can let that subside, that self-limiting belief, or maybe I've been operating with certain, in certain ways and behaviors that aren't serving me well, because the same things that I used to adapt as a kid in certain traumatic contexts won't serve me well later in life. I can't do the same thing I did at home in a team later in work. It might not work. So How do you let go of those things and be aware of the negative impacts, and then look at other things that happen that might be the positive impacts that you can leverage into? It can go both ways.
Yeah. And, as you were saying that, it reminds me a little bit, or at least the analysis of experience reminds me a little bit of cognitive behavioral therapy. Like look at your experience and then ask yourself, what is true? What am I telling myself? All of those things. And now that I say it out loud, of course, there's a link there.
Of course, there's a link there. There is. Yeah.
It's how you become experientially intelligent, right?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.